Joining me now to discuss all of this is Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. He serves as the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the chance.
I want to start, of course, with this DHS funding fight. Speaker Mike Johnson told House Republicans he plans to put a 60-day continuing resolution on the floor, which would effectively fund all of DHS instead of the Senate passed deal that leaves out ICE and CBP. Are you planning to vote yes for that measure?
No, I'll vote for the Senate measure. I won't vote for the House measure. We've had this up a couple of times. The Senate has rejected it over and over and over again. Because, look, we have a disagreement over how to do immigration enforcement in this country. That's the debate that we're having. That's why we don't want to simply blindly fund ICE and the Border Patrol without any kind of changes to that. Now, we Democrats have decided we don't want this to do harm to TSA, to the Coast Guard, to FEMA. And from the very beginning, we've said, let's fund those parts of it separately. And that is what the Senate finally agreed to do last night, or I guess earlier this morning. And they did it unanimously in a bipartisan way. So sitting on Mike Johnson's desk right now is an opportunity to fund TSA and get back to work. He's choosing not to do that because he wants to hold TSA hostage to blocking any reforms to the way we do immigration enforcement in this country. It's an astounding decision that's going to do great harm to the country, but that is what Mike Johnson has chosen to do.
Congressman, the bottom line is he didn't have enough votes in his Republican conference to pass this bill through the House. If this is a way to reopen the government right now, given the stakes right now, these long lines, the fact that TSA officers have missed weeks of paychecks, why not vote yes and then hash out the details in 60 days?
Well, first of all, you're wrong about the key part of that. There are absolutely the votes in the House of Representatives to pass the Senate proposal. 100%. Democrats will vote for it. I imagine most Republicans would vote for it as well. Johnson is choosing not to put it up for a vote. And by the way, also, even if we vote for his 60-day thing, the Senate has had that over there for all 47 days, and they haven't passed it. So you're just wrong in the framing here. We have before us a bill that Mike Johnson could bring up that would 100% support fund TSA right now. It's done. The Senate's already passed it. It's good to go. The bill that the Republicans are putting up that you're asking me, well, you're not asking me to vote for, you're asking me why I'm not voting for it, wouldn't do anything. It would go back over to the Senate and just sit there. Okay, if we want TSA funded, vote for the bill that's already passed the Senate and is ready to go.
Well, and so I put this question to you. My colleague Ryan Nobles put this to the Speaker of the House, which is that there is mounting frustration and that people are sick of the finger pointing. And you are talking about process and people want to see results. And I understand you have a perspective and Republicans have a perspective.
I'm not talking about process. I'm talking about results. I'm talking about results. I'm not talking about process. My question is, Congressman, my question is,
understood everything that you are saying. Why not, though, vote for this and hash out those details, take those 60 days
I can give you the same answer because there's, but I just answered that question, okay? Because we wouldn't have those 60 days. We, as I'm sure you're aware, have a bicameral legislature, which means nothing becomes law if the House and the Senate don't vote for it. The Senate, again, has had the opportunity to do this. They do not have the votes in the Senate to pass what Mike Johnson is proposing that we pass again in the House. So we wouldn't have 60 days. We wouldn't have anything. We would still have an unfunded TSA. On the other hand, again, this isn't process. This is results. The result of what you're talking about would be a continued stalemate. The result of voting on what the Senate has already passed would be for TSA to be funded. I mean, I don't know how much clearer I can explain that.
Do you support President Trump unilaterally paying TSA, circumventing Congress?
Well, it's illegal for him to do that. Now, it's illegal because the president is not supposed to be able to just spend money wherever he wants to spend it. It's supposed to go through the appropriations process. Now, President Trump has done that over and over and over again in the last 14 months. He's been sued over and over and over again and usually blocked. So it's illegal, which troubles me. But second, even if he did it, what sort of guarantee does that have for the TSA employees? Would that be sufficient to get them to come back to work? I don't know. So no, I don't think that's a particularly viable option. And again, we have a viable option just sitting here. We could literally get TSA funded in a half hour if Mike Johnson just put this on the floor. It would have the votes. It has the votes easily. Off it goes to the president. He'd sign it because he sees 2/3 in both the House and the Senate. That is the path to actually getting TSA funded.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.